Title Coach Ken, themanghihilot. The client approached cautiously, eyes full of hope, but body burdened by pain. They stood before Coach Ken's humble home, nestled quietly in the neighborhood where stories of his healing touch had spread far and wide. Coach Ken, known as the Manghihilot, greeted them with a calm presence that radiated wisdom and care. "Stop," Coach Ken said softly but with authority. "Stand straight." The client halted, doing their best to stand tall despite the weight of discomfort. Coach Ken studied them briefly, his gaze piercing yet kind. "I see it," he said. "Let me take a few pictures, front and back." With a few swift clicks of the camera, Coach Ken captured the images. He showed them to the client, pointing out the visible imbalances. "Here," he said, "you can see where your pain is affecting you. Look at the curve in your stance, the way your left shoulder drops. Your pain is on the left side, isn't it?" The client nodded, surprised by how accurately Coach Ken had pinpointed the pain. "Yes, I had an accident a while ago." "Oh, yes," Coach Ken responded, his voice filled with recognition. "That's right. You were referred by another client, a mountain biker, if I remember correctly." The client nodded again. "Yes, I was." Coach Ken's expression grew serious. "Stop! Stand straight," he instructed, his voice calm but firm. The client obeyed as Coach Ken circled them once more, his eyes narrowing in deep concentration. "I'm going to recreate the accident in my mind," he said, closing his eyes and falling silent. The room seemed to still as Coach Ken immersed himself in the memory of an event he had never witnessed. After a moment, he began to speak. "You were in a race, weren't you? The terrain was rough, with trees lining the path. You were going downhill, and you hit a jump, but your landing was off. Your front tire struck something, a rock, maybe a hole, and you flipped over the handlebars. You twisted in the air and landed on your upper left back and shoulder. But your head was protected, wasn't it? Was your helmet dark gray?" The client's eyes widened with amazement. "No, it wasn't, but you're close." Coach Ken paused, then said, "Hold on, let the mananagan take over," referring to his Filipino psychic abilities. Closing his eyes once more, he took a deep breath. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, yet full of certainty. "It was dark blue." The client gasped, their heart racing with recognition. "Oh my, yes, it was dark blue. How did you?" They trailed off, stunned by Coach Ken's vision. "And yes, I was embarrassed. There were a lot of spectators." Coach Ken opened his eyes and smiled gently. "I see the accident clearly now," he said. "Now I will reverse the fall and apply it to your Hilot session." The client lay down as instructed, following Coach Ken's lead. "Raise your arms above your head," he said. The client complied, though pain flickered through their body. "I can see exactly where you need to be aligned," Coach Ken continued, his hands moving with precision and grace. With a few careful adjustments, he worked on the client's shoulder blade, rib cage, and spine. In less than 30 seconds, the tension and pain that had plagued the client for months seemed to dissolve. They raised both arms again, and to their amazement, the pain was gone. "Sit up," he said with a satisfied grin. "How do you feel?" The client's eyes filled with emotion as they stood up slowly, testing their body's newfound freedom. "I feel like I'm floating. Morag lutao," they said softly. Coach Ken nodded, his smile warm and understanding. "That is what many people say. Morag lutao." He chuckled softly, and the warmth in his voice seemed to fill the room. "I tell them what I'll tell you now," he continued. "You are now ascending to the heavens, lipuit, no more pain." The client stood in awe, feeling lighter than they had in years. Coach Ken took a few more pictures, capturing the transformation not only in how the client felt, but how they stood. The difference was visible. Where there had been pain and imbalance, there was now alignment and ease. "Please share your experience with others," Coach Ken said kindly, "so they too may know a life without pain." And with that, the client left, their heart filled with gratitude and their body finally at peace.